everyone, Alexa Donne here, and today I'm going to be sharing 10 tips for maximizing your writing retreat. I've just returned from my third writing retreat and I wrote all the words. Over the course of the 3 writing retreats I've been on, I have learned a lot about myself personally and how to maximize my time and get the most out of them, because writing retreats aren't free. They are vacations for writers. They're technically time off, but you're going to work and you want to get stuff done. That is the point. So I'm going to go over the 10 things that I think are really important to keep in mind. Some of these are things to keep in mind if you are doing the planning side of a retreat, but all of them are still applicable if you're just attending. First off, for those of you who aren't familiar with writing retreats, these are trips that writers go on together. It can range. You can technically do a solo one, but typically it's a small group of authors renting a home or a cabin or, I don't know, maybe a resort if it's a bigger one. I did go on a big one that was on a ranch, and you spend anywhere from 3 to 5 or more, I have thoughts about that, days. It's a vacation that centers around writing time and getting work done. And so my first tip actually has to do with that time element, which is you want to make sure your writing retreat is neither too short nor too long. There is kind of a sweet spot for writing retreats, in my opinion. I think the sweet spot is 4 to 5 days, because you have to factor in travel time, arrival days, and departure days. Typically, little to no writing is going to get done, so really your core writing days are the ones in the middle of the retreat. And honestly, there's only so much concentrated writing you can do however many days in a row without starting to feel really worn out and exhausted. Plus, you can get sick of the people you're on a writing retreat with. So personally, the sweet spot of the ones I have been on have been 5 days. They've been Thursday to Monday or Friday to Tuesday. If your writing retreat is too short, you might only get 1 really good day out of it, maybe 2, 1.5, and then you're just going to get less word count. It's kind of about bang for buck. You're spending X amount of money on your retreat and you want to write X number of words. To give you an idea, my first retreat was about, I think it was $900 to the organization I paid to go on the retreat with, and then I had to do my flight to Austin, Texas. So I was spending a little over $1,000, and so you would want bang for buck there, and your girl only wrote 1,500 words for reasons we're gonna go into lessons learned. Whereas on the other 2 I did one that was 4 days and then another one that was 5, and I was able to write about 10,000 words on each of those retreats. That is a very productive retreat with bang for buck. That said, if you do plan kind of a shorter private retreat, if it's in your local city and you're like going to a hotel for the weekend, doing 2 days or 3 days can be perfectly fine for like solo productivity. But typically these longer ones, you want to make sure you have enough time, but not too much time. I don't know if I could be on a retreat with people for a week or more. I might murder someone. That might be an introvert thing. I personally get really exhausted after about 5 days of being with people. My second tip for maximizing your writing retreat is to set goals, but make sure they are both achievable and flexible. Don't say, oh, I want to write 20,000 words if you've never written 20,000 words in the space of 3 or 4 days, if that's really unrealistic. But do set a goal of 10,000 words and break it down by day, or I just want to push through to the end of this act, or I really want to have a breakthrough on this set of chapters. You could even be revising a book on a retreat, so maybe it's making a certain amount of progress. Set the goals. Low bar goals, I personally find, are the most helpful for me, because then you feel very accomplished when you hit your milestones on those goals. You basically don't want to kill the vibe of your writing retreat by feeling guilty that you haven't done something. So setting an attainable goal, one that can change. You want them to be semi-flexible so that, if there's a variable, one of the days of the writing retreat, you're just not feeling it, you hit a block, that you can still feel like you're doing something. That day's goal can become, if I write even 1,000 words, I'm gonna feel really good about myself. So you want to definitely be hardworking but kind to yourself when it comes to your goals. And to that end, the third tip for maximizing your writing retreat is to plan ahead. Make sure you have a project to work on and you kind of know what you're doing. I know what you're thinking. I am the unrepentant pantser. I don't outline ahead of time, but I did plan the sections I was working on the writing retreats that I went on after the first one, when I learned that going into that first writing retreat without a concrete plan and the discipline to get all the words done, that I didn't accomplish what I wanted to. So on the other two, I knew I had a section I was going to work on. Act 2, in the case of the writing retreat I went on in February, and Act 1 of the new book, the one that I went on a few weeks ago. And I basically mapped out loosely, because I'm still a pantser, what I could write toward on the writing retreat. So I had something to hit the ground running on day 1. I still did some pantsing on days 2 and 3, but day 1 I had a concrete idea of what I was going to be working on the retreat. I think if you arrive at a retreat and you're like, I'll figure out what I'm gonna do, you're going to spend a lot of time on that first day procrastinating, which just loses vital writing time and momentum. I think the first full day of a writing retreat is the most critical day of a writing retreat. Typically, at least for me, that's when I write the most words and kind of get that confidence and momentum into the subsequent days of, you had a really good day, keep going. My fourth tip is a tricky one for someone like me, but it's so worth it, and that is to get up early / on time on your writing retreat. Yes, it's technically a vacation, but it is a working vacation. Even if you're not normally a morning writer, I do advise you to get up as early as possible so that you can maximize your day. Now, I didn't get up at dawn, but I did get up at 8 a.m. on the dot, which is earlier than I normally get up on a writing day, so that I could go down to the kitchen, get my coffee, get some words in kind of those critical early morning hours when everyone's a bit sleepy, but very focused, very quiet, before kind of the afternoon push. I found those morning hours and the momentum you can get in the morning critical for having really productive days at my writing retreat. Also, I didn't want to be the one who wandered downstairs at 10 a.m. and everyone else had already been working for 3 or 4 hours. So getting up early-ish was really valuable on these writing retreats. The fifth tip is to structure your day. So the typical structure at any given writing retreat, the 3 that I've gone on, there's morning writing time, a lunch break, formal or informal. Usually it's a little bit informal, like make your own sandwich or salad fixings, and then an afternoon writing session, and typically the evening is reserved for socializing. That's how it was on the first 2 that I went on and worked really, really well. The one that I just went on though, there was also a post-dinner writing session of like an hour or so that was really great for hitting stretch goals. So I actually liked having that structure at this one of morning session, afternoon session, and an evening session. So know and expect that you're going to be writing in 3 concentrated chunks during the day, or 2, whichever one you go for as a group or an individual, and prepare for being very focused on your writing during those times. You use your break periods as your breadcrumbs, as your reward. Like, okay, I get 3 good hours done in the morning, and then I get to relax for 45 minutes to an hour, eat lunch, talk a bit, then I dive right back in. I think if you're wishy-washy about your schedule on a retreat, you are just going to be far less productive. And an ideal retreat is when you are on a retreat with like-minded individuals who also like the schedule. On the one I just did, we didn't formally set that schedule, and I was pleasantly surprised by the evening writing. I was on a retreat with several professional writers, like much further into their careers, multi-books, and I was just awed by their level of professionalism that they, were gonna do the evening session, and I ended up loving it. You can also agree ahead of time when you're going with friends, like, hey, let's do this structure for our writing retreat. My 6th tip for maximizing your writing retreat is to plan meals and load up on plenty of both healthy, like food that's going to give you lots of energy, and easy to prepare meals as well as healthy snacks. I am the first person who's going to gravitate towards junk food, but the last retreat I went on was super healthy, and the thing about healthy, clean foods is that they give you very good energy rather than making you feel lethargic and tired after eating. They give you a burst of energy, which is maybe why we had such wonderful evening writing sessions. But also, every meal was easy to prepare. We weren't spending hours cooking. We divided up meal duties amongst ourselves, which is a great way for it to be, well, on this day, you know, I'm gonna have the full afternoon to write. The next day, it'll be my turn to do dinner duty, so I'm getting a little less writing, but I'm taking my turn. And then healthy, easy to grab snacks are good because there are going to be periods during the day where you're a little bit hungry, but you don't want to stop your momentum of writing to prepare something and eat. So I personally always go for cheese and crackers. They're really easy to just prepare a little plate. Or fruit is really good for this as well, like apples or grapes. And you can have them next to you and you can eat them while you keep working. Kind of related to this, it's kind of standard that there's going to be drinking at writing retreats. If you don't drink alcohol, it's totally no problem. There have been non-drinkers at every retreat I've gone to, but definitely there's a bit of camaraderie to be had in having wine at your retreat. And my tip there is don't start too early. Because that can really kill your writing. I like to use wine as a reward for the evenings, though. One of the days of my last writing retreat, we did go to a local winery on the second day of writing, and it was actually kind of fun, like sipping our tastings while writing. I actually got a lot done that way, so just like be careful with the alcohol. Don't drink too much at night because if you're hungover the next day, that'll kill your productivity. My 7th tip is to find your spots in the house and go to those spots to write. Like, know the kind of spots that are gonna lead to the best writing for you. So for example, I write best when I'm sitting at a table. There's something about, I don't know, sitting up straight in a chair and having like a desk or table in front of me and working that keeps me productive. I'm far less productive in a free sitting chair, like a couch or a lounge chair. So I tend not to write in those spots, except for when I want to feel a bit more relaxed. So at the house that I was just at, I had my spot at the dining room table, and I also had a spot on the porch, but it was critical that I had like a footrest so that I could have my laptop on my outstretched legs. It's like weird, you know, we're all weirdly specific about what works for us with writing, but like make sure you have your spots. And if you are the person planning the retreat, when you're picking out your retreat home, it's really, really important to make sure there are enough writing spots for people. I've done my own browsing of houses for writing retreats, and I have to eliminate any that simply don't have a large enough table or multiple tables for writing. What's ideal is going to be a dining table that theoretically has seats for every single person on the retreat who is writing, a spot for a laptop, and a butt for every single person, even if not everyone ends up writing at the table because that's not their preference. I also think it's good to have indoor and outdoor writing space because some people are more productive when they're writing outside with pretty scenery and a nice breeze. I had to get some good evening words in with that. My 8th tip for maximizing your writing retreat is to be motivated by other people. Use everyone else's kind of mutual productivity mindset to motivate you. Honestly, a little peer pressure isn't a bad thing. If you see everyone else working really, really hard and getting words, that should motivate you to sit down and work really, really hard and get words. Don't let it make you feel bad, but use it for motivation. And at the best writing retreats, everyone is cheering everyone else on. And that is some of the best motivation, knowing that, you know, you can hit a milestone and everyone's gonna cheer for you. It's a really nice feeling, even if you have totally different goals from the other person. One of the people on the writing retreat I just went to wrote 30,000 words, which was amazing. My amazing was 10,000 words, and we were mutually cheering each other on to reach our personal goalposts at any given time or for the day. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with picking one person at the retreat who you know is a workhorse and basically mirroring their schedule. I did a bit of that and it honestly really helped. That's what kicked me in the pants to do those evening writing sessions, because I was looking at professionals that I admire and going, they're gonna do another hour, I'm gonna do another hour. And it made the whole thing so much better. The 9th tip is to do word sprints. These can be a group activity or individual. Group, definitely worth running it by the people you're with. Hey, do you like doing word sprints? And then doing them. At my retreat last February, we did a ton of word sprints and it was super helpful to do like 20 minutes on and 10 minutes off, helping us to reach those benchmarks and milestones. But on my last retreat, wasn't really a word sprint group, but one of the people on the retreat, I really liked her method. She brought her own note cards and just did her own word sprints, and she kept track of her word sprint counts on her note card so that she had her tallies for the different writing sessions at the end of the day. I didn't do any technical word sprints, but I did keep track of my word count in an Excel document. Really, whatever kind of benchmark tools that you can use to motivate yourself to write, use that tool. But word sprints are a fantastic one. And finally, my 10th tip for maximizing your retreat experience. Let's talk about socializing. So I highly recommend you use the reward of evening social time to motivate you to be super productive during the day. The standard thing at writing retreats, I mean, we go on them with people that we like or are like-minded with, even if we've never met them. We're all writers, because it's going to be cool to hang out with each other. The thing is, you have to be very, very careful of the upset balance of too much socializing and not enough working. I fell into this trap on that first writing retreat I went on. I did a little bit too much socializing and wasn't quite disciplined enough with myself. Now, instead, I use that structure tip. It's the structured writing time and the reward of, well, at night, we're gonna open a bottle of wine and we're gonna chat. It also helps if there's a hot tub. To be honest, hot tubs at writing retreats is kind of a standard, or it should be. I've really enjoyed the ones where there's been a hot tub, where you get to look forward to that downtime, that relaxing downtime, where you swap stories, you talk about your projects. At one of mine, we read from our project. At another, we have these really helpful, not workshops, but it was almost like group therapy, where we kind of talked about our expectations for writing in the industry. So whatever you want to do with that evening time, make sure you have some set social stuff to look forward to so that you can be disciplined with yourself the rest of the time. You never want to be the person on the retreat who's looking for every excuse not to write, who's looking to chat with people, because then you are potentially the distracting force for people who very seriously want to focus on getting words. Use others to motivate you. Be the person who's working really, really hard, hitting those benchmarks, and not socializing until it is appropriate to do so. Oh, it's not an official tip, but let's call this a bonus tip. Contribute in the kitchen. Either cook meals or clean up, because trust me, people will notice if you don't contribute anything to meal prep or cleaning up. Just that is my pro tip. I know that's kind of funny, but trust me, you don't want to be the person where after the retreat people kind of side-eye and go, they didn't lift a finger to help, did they? So that's it. Those are my 10 tips for maximizing your writing retreat so you can get all the words done but still have a really good social experience. Maximize the ROI, because writing retreats aren't free, but they can be cheap. And just to have a really good time on what is essentially a working vacation. Let me know down below in the comments any questions you have about writing retreats, planning them, going on them, being productive. I'm kind of sold on them. Maybe I'm like low-key obsessed. I've had such a good time on the ones I've got on, and I hope to do more in the future. And give this video a thumbs up if you like it. I will make more practical tip type videos for you. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. I post new videos 2 to 3 times a week. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, guys, happy writing.